Well, hello, everyone. My name is Larry Johnson. I'm the VP of Military Aerospace and Government Solutions at Parasoft Corporation. I'm here with Jeff Estes, one of our senior solutions architect, and we're here today to talk to you about building security into DoD programs, zero-cost static analysis with Parasoft and JFAC. All right. First thing we'll do, today's presentation will not include a demonstration. We'll be going through really slides to kind of describe what the JFAC Parasoft relationship is and the accessibility of zero-cost licensing for you folks. Again, the demos are kind of very specific to environments, so we like to have those one-on-one as well. I hope you understand that. We look forward to having those in-depth conversations with you afterwards. From an agenda perspective, the first thing we're going to talk about is JFAC, the Joint Federated Assurance Center. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar at some level, otherwise you wouldn't be on this webinar today. But ultimately, who is JFAC and why are they important? And why do we, Parasoft, have a relationship with them? And ultimately, who are we? And how does this relationship come together in order to provide DoD programs such as yourselves the ability to have access to zero-cost security testing? Then we'll go ahead and talk actually about security testing, static application security testing, and Parasoft's focus on security and quality at speed. Okay, what is SAST? Why is it important to programs such as yours? And kind of give you kind of a 10,000-foot view of the kind of the workflows that Parasoft has in terms of applying software security standards on your projects. Right. Then we'll kind of go through, kind of some slideware in terms of exactly what to expect with Parasoft, how you set up, which rules you want to apply, what you would expect to see in running from a GUI or from command line or integrating with CI/CD, Jenkins, reporting, things like that. Okay. And then we'll actually go in and briefly view, what is that request and approval process through JFAC to get access to the zero-cost security testing solutions. And then the wrap-up. This has been scheduled for an hour. There is no way we're going through this an entire, it's going to be way less than an hour, so we'll probably give quite a bit of time back to you guys. Again, this is kind of an introduction. Hopefully you see value in it, and then go off. You'll see this link down here in the right-hand corner, jfac.navy.mil. Again, make a note of that. It's really important because that is where everything starts with getting access to our solutions. Okay, so I'll jump on into it. Okay, so who is JFAC? Well, JFAC, Joint Federated Assurance Center, is really a group of DoD organizations, and their focus is to promote and enable software assurance. So it's really about an organization that is focused on trying to ensure that the DoD programs are delivering highly secure, high quality software to the field. Okay, and what has to happen then is you need to focus on security, hopefully earlier than later in the software development process. And a lot of folks will do scans as part of an independent validation and verification, but kind of the train has kind of left the station, as it were. Parasoft's relationship with JFAC is to say, hey, look, we want our programs to be able to build security into the programs. So as early as you've got code that has been developed and compilable, let's build security in. Okay, and so that is where the kind of the relationship comes together. And where does Parasoft come from? Who are we? I'm not going to go through all our products and all the industries that we focus in. You can always go to www.parasoft.com. But in essence, what we do is we produce solutions to help deliver continuous quality, compliance, and security across a myriad set of industries and development types of focus. So we do a lot of embedded, highly technical software systems for DoD, for the automotive industry. We also do enterprise level testing for folks like Fidelity and Charles Schwab. So software is ubiquitous in the business world, and so we focus in one thing, and this is all we do. We only do automated software testing, and we do it very well. We've been doing this since the late 80s, and our solutions span the entire software development lifecycle, from early coding testing, which you're going to be seeing today. It's about as early as you can get, doing static analysis on the code, through unit testing and code coverage, to on-target testing, API level testing, load and performance, Selenium-based UI testing. All of these things are kind of in our quiver of solutions. But today we're talking about static analysis and how our focus with security rules such as OWASP and CWE can help organizations like yours. Right. So, but everything we do, all of our solutions, we focus. All development needs to focus on 4 business areas, right? Speed, quality, cost, and security risks. I don't care if you're a DoD program or you're Charles Schwab. You're trying to, you're trying to get solutions out as quickly as possible and high quality. Now, the warfighter mission is even more important, okay? Because people's lives are at risk, the systems are important, sensitive information, et cetera. Okay, so Parasoft's focus is to build that security in at high speed, to build that quality in at high speed. And if you can do that, that ultimately reduces the cost and security risk to your programs. And with that reduced cost, you can do more with your budgeting, with your funding. Okay, and ultimately the security risk goes way down, which is probably the most important thing. Okay, all of these things are intertwined, as you can imagine. If my speed, if I'm not meeting schedule or I'm releasing poor quality software, my costs and my risks go up. So without the focus on speed and quality from a security perspective, we're going to miss the mark. And so Parasoft is very, very focused on working with JFAC to ensure that you guys can build security into your software. Just as a case study, just to, like I said, we've been around since the late 80s. I've actually had a relationship with Parasoft for the last 20 years and worked specifically on this program, many others, but just to lend some credence to the capabilities of the Parasoft static analysis solutions. Our solutions are standardized on Lockheed's F-35 program. And Parasoft was chosen because they were going into a tech refresh and they're going into sustainability mode. So they're looking to be able to increase the speed of their software deliveries while increasing the quality of the software through improved software testing processes and automation. Okay, so they've standardized on what you'll see, we'll be talking about today, static analysis. They've taken it from unit testing to code coverage all the way down to on-target testing. And it's been standardized at L3Harris and Northrop Grumman for the same reasons. Okay, so what you have access to within JFAC is the same solutions, the same features, same capabilities that programs like F-35 have access to. Okay, so what exactly is SAST, Static Application Security Testing, right? And how is that? What does that look like as part of JFAC? Well, what it is a set of our static analysis solutions, the pool of Parasoft licensing that's available via JFAC, and it focuses in pretty much the 3 major families of software development languages: C and C++, Java, and the .NET family, C# and VB.NET. Okay, so if you've got any of these or a mix and match of these types of languages, then the Parasoft licensing will definitely help you via JFAC. These are the names of the solutions that correspond to those languages. There's a set of licenses out there. There's 70 what we call CI/CD or automation licenses sitting out there for access. I'd say we're approaching about half of them have been requested. So if there is interest after this webinar to get your project spun up, I'd highly recommend just you go in and start requesting. And again, we'll get to that procedure. But there are a limited number of licenses. And it's a zero-cost charge back to the approved DoD programs. So the solutions have been procured. They're sitting out there. We're on this webinar today to see whether or not there's interest for you guys out there on the webinar to leverage these on your programs. You install them, you start doing your scans. There's nobody going to send you an invoice for anything. You're up and running, off you go. Okay, and the DoD approval process is typically 2 and 3 days. It's not a big deal, but we'll get to those details later. Okay, so there's a pool of licensing out there, static analysis solutions. what the heck is static analysis and the what and the why. Okay, so what are the benefits of running static analysis? There's different, well, first of all, there's different flavors of static analysis, but from a SAST perspective, it's really about inspecting the source code of an application. So our solutions work against your source code. So if you have something that's compilable and we can attach to your build process, run those OWASP scan, CWE, CERT, whatever scan you want, and look for those potential security vulnerabilities, quality issues, defects, things like that, report them to you so you can go and quickly remediate on them. That's the essence of it. We work off of the source code. Okay. The benefits. Of course, you know, I talked about this earlier, you're building security and quality into your products. Again, you can't test security into your products. It has to be built in. And where do you build it in? I mean, you can have security, you know, products that, you know, monitor networks and applications, you know, on the outer shell of these things. But ultimately, the software that you're actually developing and building needs to be secure in of itself, and that comes from the language. Okay, so as you have some code that you can compile, run scans on it. It's a very lightweight process. Click a button, it runs a scan that you've configured as part of your project, gives you the results, remediate, off you go. Okay, so to find potential vulnerabilities and defects before you get to the heavy testing. Okay, you don't want to do this once everything is integrated. I mean, it'll still find stuff, right? But again, you know, you're pushing off the inevitable. And if you can find stuff earlier and increase that quality of those individual pieces of code going into your source code repositories, you're way ahead of the game. Okay, it makes your code more readable, more maintainable. It consistency to have a policy to follow. Okay, ultimately it makes your developers into better developers because you make an error in one place, you find a defect, you fix it. You're probably not going to do it again, or not very often, right? You're going to understand how, you know, what the standard really means, and kind of align with it. And it ultimately overall reduces the cost of development and test because you don't have a bunch of rehash. Right? Because you're scanning and you're making those fixes very early on, you have less problems coming in during integration. But I think the most important bullet here is the second to the last. Very lightweight process, low-hanging fruit. This is really, really important when you introduce any type of testing into a development organization. Okay, automation is key because I've been in this industry for a long time. I'll tell you, developers don't like doing testing. Okay, it's painful. Okay, static analysis is the least painful, and it's really fully automated. Okay, so it doesn't get any easier than just simply clicking a button, doing a scan, reviewing reports, and making the fixes. Okay, developers line up, embrace that type of testing. It's a great way. I mean, there's a huge return on the investment in terms of being able to do automated testing. So, and probably a little tough to see this graph at the bottom, according to how old you are. I'm getting up there, but this is some studies that were done by Capers Jones at back in mid-90s, I think it was with IBM at the time, but it's basically analyzing where all the costs and defects and things like that come from a software development lifecycle. What I always thought was interesting from this graph is that blue curve there is the coding phase, where 85% of defects are introduced in this phase, okay? And the question is, well, if they're all there, why are people pushing things off, and therefore you're getting 640 times cost to fix stuff after post-release? Well, it's because developers don't like doing testing. And that's the essence of it, right? So they push things off. So if you can apply automation and do testing during that coding phase, you can push that graph down. Again, you can push those costs down. Back in the 90s, they didn't have automation like this, but you have it today, and you can apply it today. Right? So again, to continue the what and the why, don't get overwhelmed about these types of analysis. This is what we kind of do under the hood. Okay, this is all done for you. You don't have to worry too much about it. But the kinds of analysis we do, or first one is called pattern-based analysis. So it's kind of looking at the structure and semantics of certain pieces of code, make sure they're maintainable and they're consistent and things like that. So it's really a focus more on quality and maintainability. The flow analysis, okay, and is basically taking a look at critical mass of code. You know, you say you've got the source code repository of, you know, hundreds of files and, you know, thousands of classes, et cetera. You know, the interaction of them, we play what if. We kind of do a symbolic execution of that code base looking for potential runtime vulnerabilities, okay? So we will play what if. We will look for buffer problems and SQL problems and arithmetic problems by just kind of playing what if with your code base. And so this is where this is how the core focus in things like OWASP and CWE and CERT and stuff, that's where the main thrust is in the flow analysis. There's some very complex things that can happen in order to create a vulnerability, and we can kind of flesh those out, you know, hit the weeds and watch the snakes come out, right? The third part is metrics analysis. You know, what have I got to do? You know, cyclomatic complexity, object hierarchies, class couplings, things like this, you know, give you the hot spots in terms of your design where you may want to, you know, refactor some of the design to make things more maintainable. Okay, but all of this stuff is done through the static analysis of the source code. You basically have a configuration out there, you click a button, and all of this stuff will be done for you. These three types of analysis comprise in different flavors, right, across all of these compliance standards that we support. From a security focus, OWASP, CWE, the CERT family, DISASTIG ASD, others, and the safety critical focus. Again, you know, we work in a bunch of different industries, automotive, defense sector, and the commercial sector. And again, all of this is available for you guys. It's not like you only got OWASP and CWE because of security. If you want to run some deep analysis from a safety critical perspective, then boom, more power to you. You've got it all there for you, right? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is a security quality at speed. This is just kind of the 10,000-foot view in terms of what a typical workflow is in a team development organization. But the key things, I'll point out the key things to keep in mind as you know, how you guys would approach this using the JFAC licensing. So the very first thing you would do as an organization is you'd have somebody out there or a team of folks that would come together and decide, you know, what are the standards that you want to run. And you can run multiple scans, multiple standards, doesn't matter. You can, you know, slice and dice this any way you want. The point is that you put one or more test configurations out in a central location that you can consistently run from a development perspective, okay? Pattern-based rules are typically done there because they're quick and fast, and increase that quality and security of that code before checking into source control, okay? And then, as part of an automated process, CI/CD, whether it's a cron job or Jenkins or whatever, you would pull all this source code from your source control, rerun your pattern base, and do your data flow. So now you're doing this deep analysis, looking for these major problems, okay, potential problems. Okay, if things come out of it, you'll get results that'll come out in HTML reports and other formats, as well as you can push things to some of our other solutions like DTP, where you get reporting, dashboarding, and analytics. But ultimately, whether it's HTML reports or via DTP, quality tasks can be sent back to the developer in question. Okay, and when I mean by in question, we're able to pull out a source control, who did what to whom when. So if a particular developer introduced a defect in a particular file at a particular line, we'll understand that, pick that up as part of the scan, as part of the report, know who did that, and be able to send it back to the appropriate developer so they can react to it. And developers like that because now it's kind of more a reaction type environment. They can get back to doing development. If there's an issue, okay, somebody sent me an email, okay, I'll deal with it and I'll move on. Okay? So it's a very seamless workflow, and this works for a team of 2 to a team of 200, and we support those types of programs all over the world. Today, now what you've got access to with JFAC is really in this kind of light blue section. Now you can get everything you need to get done, and I'll kind of go through that, okay? You set up your configurations, whatever they are, you run it from a command line or as part of a Jenkins run, and you get a report, and these reports can actually be sent back to the developer. Okay, so you have all of this capability. So you'll be way ahead of the game by employing the Parasoft solutions, right? So what does that ultimately look like? Okay. Well, even though we talk about the Parasoft solutions as being integrated into CI/CD and command line, and the first thing you would think is, okay, it's headless. Okay, there's no way I can interact with it. I just tell a command line and tell it to do something. Well, it does come with an IDE. You can actually plug the solutions into things like Eclipse or IntelliJ if it's Java, or Eclipse variants, MS Visual Studio, VS Code, other IDEs. The point is that when you plug it in, you'll see a Parasoft menu selection. Okay, and that's where everything Parasoft related is accessible. The key thing I'm getting to here is that is where you would set up, which rule sets you want to run against your code base. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. But everything is under Parasoft, the licensing and everything else. But the key thing is your SAST test configurations. How do you set those up? Okay. So what you'll see when you bring up Parasoft test configurations, you'll see on the left side a whole list of different built-in compliance packs, whether they're aerospace packs, automotive packs, medical industry, security. As you'll see here, you'll see CW Top 25, DIS-ASD STIG, OWASP, CERT-C. All of these are available to you. And if you click one, then what you'll see in the static tab over here is a list of all the rules that are turned on. Okay, you can expand to see what the rules are looking at. This particular one, it says avoid race conditions when using fork and file descriptors. Okay, what the heck does that mean? Well, there's built-in documentation for each of these rules and underlying stuff that you can better understand. And this is available not only for setting up the rules, but for your developers to better understand what those rules are if something gets broken. Okay? The key is, here's where you set it up. And you can set up one or more rule sets to be placed out here in a user-defined area for access. And then you can turn some on, turn some off. It's all up to you. It's highly configurable. And again, we can work directly with you guys to help you set up exactly what you need. But that's the first key, is getting that rule set set up, because that's that stake in the ground that says we're all going to practice this. Right? So our recommendation is the very first thing you do is you're going to do a scan. You're going to load up some code into Eclipse, and if you're already in Eclipse or in IntelliJ or whatever it is, you basically, all you'll need to do is click a play button once it's set up as your default scan. So you can set up this play button to be, say, OWASP. Okay, so you click the button, and that will be kind of a smoke test against your code base. Run the scan, if it's OWASP, TW, whatever. What you'll see is you'll see a list of quality tasks in the quality taskbar. This will show you what issues happened, and these can be sorted and prioritized. You can look at it at a severity level, because out the gate, maybe you just want to focus on the highest security problems, right? Because some of the other stuff might be in the noise. And if you don't have to completely comply to OWASP or CW, maybe you don't fix them all, okay? I mean, it's up to you. It's flexible. It's not going to force you down a rat hole to do specific things that maybe you don't need to do. It's going to show you where those issues are. It's up to you to determine, how you want to deal with it. But within the IDE, you can actually, double click, and it'll bring you exactly to where the issue is in the code base. Again, you'll have access to the documentation to describing what that issue is. The idea is you examine what the issue is, you vector the code, and you remediate. That's the whole idea. Whether you do this in an IDE or through an HTML report, neither here nor there. The whole point is that it will pinpoint your issues. It'll specifically tell you here's where they are, and then your developers can go back and remediate and increase that quality and security level when they check it back into source control. Okay, so that's going to be your initial smoke test. Once that works, okay, now you kind of want to say, okay, I've got my configuration. Now I want to kind of put it in a place where I can run a scheduled run. It could be daily, could be weekly, could be even when you someone checks into a main branch. It's however you want to configure. And that is basically running our solutions headless. Okay, and that's through a command line interface of some sort. So we have plugins to things like Jenkins, etc. But you can actually run our solutions from the command line as well. So if you have you bring up a terminal, you get the prompt, you have your environment set up properly. It may be tough for you guys to see this, but this is for our C++ test solution. You would issue a CPP test CLI command line, indicate what compiler it is, the code base you're pointing to, which guidelines you want to focus on, hit return, and it'll give you the scan, and it'll output to whatever you designated, what kind of reporting you wanted. Okay, so, and a lot of folks use this in the Linux world because they don't typically like using IDEs, right? They're in VI or whatever. So they just like to run from the command lines. It's very, very handy for folks like that. But that's a good way to kind of get you started. You can even just, instead of incorporating it into an automated process, you can do this once a day or once a week. It's up to you, according to how sophisticated your project is. But again, we do have plugins to things like Jenkins. So you can take that same command line interface and you plop it into kind of the workflow aspects of Jenkins, set up your environment properly, and then let Jenkins control all this. So again, it's very, very flexible. Once you've got your test configuration set up, incorporated as part of your build process, you're off and running. And so at the end of that, what are you going to get, right? Okay, I run a scan, that's great. I should be getting some type of reporting. And so what you will get is you will get reporting in the form of any and all of these things, HTML. If it's HTML, then what you're seeing here will be interactive. It's an HTML report, so you'll be able to click on things and sort things and dive in a little deeper in terms of details. Or a PDF, if say you need to roll it up to somebody and they just need a synopsis of what's going on, etc. Or XML. So we give you the raw results. We give you the raw data. Some organizations like to strip out the salient information and maybe pump it to an external system, roll it up to some other environment. So you have access to all of this. And as part of HTML as well, I guess of all these reports, there's a concept of tasks by author, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, is that when we run a full scan and we're tied to the source control system, then we can actually see exactly for a specific author, like Jeff Estes, my cohort in crime, if he caused all these issues, then the automation process can actually push this report directly over to Jeff so that Jeff can action on the issues. Okay, so that's that kind of workflow from a HTML reporting perspective. Okay, so you have everything here to kind of get you bootstrapped to, kind of do security analysis very, very quickly. Standing up these solutions doesn't take much time at all. Running an initial test, whether it's OWASP or CWE, if you can do one, you can do any of them. So the idea is we're here to help you guys get that established, get up and running, and get some of these reports going so that you can start meeting some of your security requirements and improve your software at the end of the day, right? Okay. And the end game, security and quality. So regardless if you're focused kind of in the blue area or the full workflow, it doesn't matter. I mean, this gives you everything you need. Okay, you still be able to get the reports back to the developer so they can check in the source control. It's just that it delays things a little bit, but you're still way, way ahead of the game, and it will definitely increase the quality and the security of your systems. All right. Okay, so how do we get access to this? How do you get access to this? Okay, so requesting licensing for your projects, and this is the important stuff. Again, http jfac.navy.mil. You go there and you'll find all the information regarding Parasoft, the processes you need to do to kind of jump through a couple of hoops in terms of what you request. The key is to understand, and even if you don't fully understand, if you make the request, what we normally do is we get on a call with you guys, talk you through to fully understand what you want. You can always go back and change your request. Okay, so it's, you're not in stone with whatever you request. So don't put too much effort into this. It's really just kind of getting the wheels turned. The idea is to at least request a license for each of the languages you're supporting. We can start there. And upon discussions with you, if you're doing multiple builds concurrently, then you may need multiple licenses for a particular language. But don't worry about that right now. The fact is that if you're doing Java, then ask for JTest. If you're doing C++, then do C++ test, and just get the wheels turning. The approval process is, the confirmation is typically just a couple of days, sometimes even shorter. And then what happens after that is that JFAC and Parasoft will coordinate with you the download and installation and licensing of the software. And this last part is really important, and help get you up and running. Okay, so Parasoft isn't a company that just kind of tosses the license over the fence and says, hey, good luck with you. I'm glad we have a relationship with JFAC. Hope you do well. Okay, our goal is to make sure that you are up and running, that you are doing scans, that you are getting reports, and ultimately that you are successful at the end of the day. Okay, so we are here to help, and I cannot understate that part of it. So basically, that's kind of it. Again, jfac.navy.mil. If you have a focus on security, you have requirements for that, you're interested in this stuff, it can help your organization, your projects, one or more projects. You can run our software on as many projects as you want. We don't care. Here's how you do it. And again, this presentation has been recorded. Our contact information will be at the end. You can always reach out to us for additional information or through JFAC, okay? So having said that, that's kind of the wrap-up on it. I told you it wasn't going to take the whole hour. Actually, I didn't think it was going to take 37 minutes either. But if we've got a couple of questions, note our contact information there at the bottom. Again, I'm Larry Johnson, and Jeff Estes, he's one of our senior solution architects. We are the core people that will help you in terms of getting things rolling. We also have Jamie Motherall, who's on the call. You'll get to know her very well. But again, the jfac.navy.mil site, our contact information. If there's a couple of questions, we can take those and answer a couple, and then call it a day. So any questions out there? Somebody going to read those to me? I'm kind of new at this, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read the question.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
This is Jeff. There was a question about the one of the shots referred to, I think it had a screenshot of DTP, and there was a question about, is that included from JFAC?
Yeah, DTP is not included as part of this. I guess I kind of did go into the history. We started a relationship with JFAC back in, I think, 2019 or so. DoD budgets were much better back then, and we actually included DTP as part of team deployments. With just the automation additions that are available now, we weren't able to do that, but we're hoping we can change that in the very near future, and we'll keep folks abreast of that. But everything you get from a reporting perspective, even though it's a snapshot in time, okay, those HTML reports, the whole idea at the end of the day is make sure that the code is getting better, higher quality back into source control. The DTP will give you your trends analysis, actually does have compliance dashboard, so there is a lot of additional capability and value there. But the essence of ensuring that security is built into your solutions, it comes from the static analysis solutions themselves that are in the JFAC pool of licensing. Okay.
There was another question about is like JTest and CPP test included in that, where they can start up the IDE?
Yes, yes. All of the that's a good question. All of the static analysis solutions, there are plugins to various IDEs, so you will be able to run it from the IDE and or command line, regardless of the language. Okay, we'll take one more. No mind.
There was also one about JTest CLI and CPP test CLI being included in, and they are. So.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I would say, everybody, if you guys are interested, please go off the jfac.navy.mil site, do the requests, okay, because there are limited licenses left. We can always get on the horn with you guys. We do this on a daily basis, have a discussion in terms of what your test requirements are, how best to proceed, and again, we can get you up and running pretty quickly. And then actually demonstrate specific toward your environment, not in your environment. We're not going to start mutzing around with that stuff, but we have Linux systems, Windows systems, embedded systems that we can set up that are very close to, whatever your environment looks like. So you get the warm fuzzies about, what your world is going to be moving forward with Parasoft, okay? So, any case, I'll just say thank you to everybody who attended. Again, this has been recorded. We will send out links to everybody. Maybe you can share it with other team members, your management, et cetera. We look forward to you guys signing up at JFAC and starting to leverage Parasoft for your software security needs. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.